It's unfortunate how Charlie died. It's unfortunate that he had to die under the hands of the American experiment. It's sad the way Charlie died, but it's even scarier and sadder the way his death has been turned and taken in different places I cannot even understand. In Nigeria, he's called a modern day Martha. In America, he's called a modern day St. Paul. In Kenya, I learned there's a memorial, or there's a Christian wake keep done on his behalf. Apostle Michael Orukpo, still an apostle that is even still surprising me. Apostle. Let's say it's a title. Apostle Michael Orukpo. On his part, he calls him what he calls him. What will be said of you when you die? What will be said of me when I die? What really will be said of me when I die? If I die tomorrow, what will people say about me? You know, he ran a podcast, he wrote a couple of books, he had sisters and brothers, he had a mother, he had a father, he had a stepfather, he had a stepmother, he was a philosopher, he was a theologian, he wrote poems, he tried advocating for books and publishing in Nigeria and in Africa and a couple of things. And after that, what else would people say about me? You know, it's something not even Charlie would have believed, and the trajectory it has taken. Several of us watched Cardinal Dolan's recent Fox interview, where he referred to Charlie Kirk as a modern-day St. Paul. The Cardinal praised Mr. Kirk's conviction and willingness to speak about the Lord and for being a model for young people looking for meaning in their lives. We grieve every loss of life and univocally condemn the killing of Mr. Kirk. What Cardinal Dolan may not have known is that many of Mr. Kirk's words were marked by racist, homophobic, transphobic, and anti-immigrant rhetoric, by violent pro-gun advocacy, and by promotion of Christian nationalism. These prejudicial words do not reflect the qualities of a saint. To compare Mr. Kirk to St. Paul risks confusing the true witness of the gospel and giving undue sanction to words and actions that hurt the very people Jesus calls us to love. Just last week, Cardinal Dolan joined us in celebrating the 50th anniversary of the canonization of our foundress, St. Elizabeth Ann Seton. Elizabeth's legacy is not one of exclusion or hatred, but of radical welcome, tireless service, and unwavering love of neighbour. Many of Mr. Kirk's words stand in stark contrast to the charity and compassion that defined those of Elizabeth Seton. For generations, the Sisters of Charity of New York have cared for immigrant families arriving with nothing but hope. While our direct service has changed, our commitment to those families endures. They deserve true examples of discipleship, not false prophets. In this moment, we reaffirm our mission to work with all people who are poor and marginalized, to welcome immigrants and refugees, to defend the dignity of LGBTQ+ persons, and to labor for peace in a world saturated with violence. These are the works of authentic discipleship. These are the qualities of saints. We urge our church leadership, including Cardinal Dolan, to lift up witnesses whose lives truly reflect the gospel of Jesus Christ. Lives of humility, justice, compassion, and peace. We will continue to pray for Mr. Charlie Kirk. his family and for all who mourn his loss. This was written by the leadership team, Sisters of Charity of New York, Sister Donna Dodge, Sister Margaret O'Brien, Sister Mary McCormick, Sister Mary Ann Daly, Sister Sheila Bronsnan, Sister Margaret Egan, on behalf of the Sisters of Charity New York. And for those of you who have not seen his video or his interview on Fox, here you have it.
We are reflecting on the legacy of Charlie Kirk, his desire to lead with faith and spread the word of God.
So our next guest is calling on Americans to come together in what he calls this time of, quote, hatred and acrimony.
Archbishop of New York, Timothy Dolan, joins us now. Cardinal, you know how much we love having you on.
We love
Great
you, and I
you.
appreciate the invitation.
Appreciate you.
Thanks for the Kringle. We all needed it from Milwaukee. I had 7 happy years in Milwaukee, and this is from Racine. I love the Kringle.
We always have these major events. We're covering them on the couch. But this one got you to put that editorial out there. Why did you, and you didn't know Charlie Kirk.
Here's
Why
the
did
scoop.
you think you had to write about it?
I was caught off guard, and that doesn't happen too much. So when I heard the tragic news, I said, oh, I wonder who he was. And then all of a sudden, this overwhelming sense of sorrow and kind of renewal. And I thought, I got to learn about this guy. And the more I learned about him, I thought, this guy's a modern day St. Paul. He was a missionary. He's an evangelist. He's a hero. He's one, I think, that knew what Jesus meant when he said, the truth will set you free. And to do it, now, I understand he was pretty blunt. And he was pretty direct. He didn't try to avoid any controversy. He didn't even try to avoid confrontation. The difference is the way, the mode, the style that he did it, always with respect. And not only was that a gracious, kind of virtuous thing to do, it's effective. Because when your opponents see, this guy kind of respects me. We kind of disagree here, but he kind of enjoys me. And he's thanking me for being here. And he's telling me he appreciates the trust I have in him in sharing my views. I thought, this guy can teach us something. I've been spending the last week reading about him. And so last night, I was at NYU Catholic Student Center, about 200 students there. This is what they talked about.
Wow.
This is what they talked about. And can you guys help? You got a box seat on what's going on in the world. What's going on here with this return to religion? I should be doing hula hoops, which would be worth a spot on the show. But see if you guys agree. So when you look out there, especially our young people, and see a vacuum, a void, especially here in New York, you know how it is. A lot, maybe you were that way. People come to New York, these young people, they think, we got the world by the tail. We're in New York. We're leaving Kansas. You know, we got a job now. The people at home are proud. And all of a sudden, after a couple months, they say, there's something missing. There's something missing here. There's an emptiness. There's a void. Now, as St. Augustine said, I got to quote St. Augustine, not because Pope Leo is an Augustinian. Mm-hmm. As St. Augustine said, no, it's not something missing. It's someone missing, okay? I think that's what Charlie said. He wasn't afraid to talk about the Lord. He wasn't even afraid to say the name of Jesus. Mm-hmm. Billy Graham I heard Billy Graham once say, I will never publicly speak without saying the name of Jesus, because that name has power and it echoes through the universe. And apparently that's what Charlie did.
So, Cardinal, what do you tell? You've seen the numbers of young people, especially young men, going to church now, even going to Mass, but they're a little depressed right now, discouraged, because although they believe in Jesus, he was a leader within this movement, and the way he died matters. So what do you tell them to reignite them?
Well, look, so what's Jesus give us? As Charlie said, what? It was phenomenal. The most important thing in my life is my faith, all right? From faith comes hope. What's faith mean? We believe in God. What's hope mean? We believe this God makes promises and keeps them. I would say to our young people, but I don't have to tell them that, because I think that's why they're coming back. They're saying we even see in the God can bring good out of evil, right? And what they're seeing is this almost this kind of a revival of a sense of value and truth and conviction, almost an elevation of the role of faith back into the public square where our founders intended it to be from the beginning. And they're almost saying this overwhelming sense of appreciation for Charlie and the great solidarity that we're sensing is itself an answer to prayers and is itself a sign of the resurrection. Correct? Don't you think?
Definitely.
It's true.
You know what's hard? We are allowed to have different opinions, but Charlie spoke his mind, and how he interpreted the Bible, what he would read in the Bible, and I feel like he did it out of love, because you're right. He would say to people, I might not agree with what you're doing or your lifestyle, but this is...
You got it. You got it, Ainsley. Yeah.
But I hate to see him vilified just because he's talking about his beliefs, and he was so bold to do it. He loved other people, and he had that void once in his life. Then he accepted Christ, and he wants to share that with other people.
Yeah. Two things. Pope St. John Paul II always said, the best way you can love somebody is to tell them the truth. And the most effective way to tell the truth is with love. All right? Apparently, Charlie did that. Number two, Charlie would not be surprised. If his hero is Jesus Christ, all he has to do is look at the cross. Look what they did to him. All right? But it goes on. It goes on. I thought of that, after the election of Pope Leo. We're standing there behind. You didn't see us. You were looking at him. But I'm looking out at Rome. Now, Rome, do I see any symbols in Rome of the Roman Empire? I mean, you might see ruins. Do I see any symbols of Rome of the invasion of Charles V? Do I see any symbols in Rome of the invasion and takeover by Napoleon? No. Do I see any symbols in Rome of Hitler and Mussolini? No. I saw about 100 crosses. All right? So the cross triumphs, okay? The cross, the victory of the cross. We just had Sunday in the Catholic Church the feast of the triumph of the Holy Cross. And he kind of exemplified it. Now, I would reckon, some people are saying to me, you say too many nice things about him. I don't know him that well. So, but I'm sure if he was a convinced disciple of Jesus Christ, he knew his sins. I would think so. Jesus knew him. Something tells me Erica knew them. All right? Do you keep in touch with her? How's she doing?
Oh, she's going to be speaking at the Memorial for sure, and she's taking over the organization. I want to read an excerpt from your editorial, and it says this: I know I need to spend as much time as I can on my knees, asking for God's help. If we can recapture the spirit in our country, I am sure our overheated rhetoric and resultant bitterness and division would largely disappear before God. You'll join me in this effort. What do you do? What do you think Americans should join you in that effort? You also went on to say that we should continue to talk, but at issues. Don't get personals.
Thank you. So look, do the alliteration here. Issues, not individual. Principles, not just politics, okay? Principles, not people. Did you have to ever sit through one of those logic courses in college, remember? Yeah. And when they would teach you conversation and debate, Charlie never went to college, but he could have taught the course. They said the weakest of all arguments, you know that somebody is feeling, I've lost this cause. The weakest argument is ad hominem, when you begin to attack the person, okay? Then you know you've lost it because you're rational. The compelling nature of a rational argument has faded, so you begin to attack the person. We got Charlie apparently knew that. Okay, and we need to recapture that.
This is also important.
Sure.
The assassin had a view, and he thought Charlie Kirk was evil. And you read his editorial. So obviously, I know who's right. He wasn't. What do you say to that people? Those people that think that the assassin was right. We've seen the celebrations. We've seen the breaking up of the memorials, the candlelight vigils.
Yeah, but this is.
What do you say to the people that can't believe that?
Well, this is a consequence of what Charlie often spoke about from my quick study of him, is a complete decline in the objective good and evil. Now, you know who was the great prophet of that was Pope Benedict, remember? When he said, we're living in a dictatorship of relativism, where anything goes. There's no objective good or evil. When that happens, evil will triumph. So there's objectively good, there's objectively evil. Charlie knew that. What the assassin did, of course, was objectively evil. And we can't shy away from saying that. In my article yesterday, thanks for found somebody that read it, we can't, this isn't some fluffy, Pollyannish, oh, let's all get along. No, we need to talk about the raw power of evil. We need to speak with a passion about issues and principles, but it's the style, it's the graciousness with which we do it. Who was the best teacher of all? Jesus, all right? And remember in the one scene of the gospel with the woman caught in adultery, they were all ready to start, and he says, come here. There's nobody left to condemn you. Neither do I condemn you. But by the way, don't sin anymore. So in other words, I love you. What you did, I don't quite care for, and I'm calling you to conversion. But I sure love you. If we can get back to that, I use the example of Reagan and Tip O'Neill. We can look at other things in history. Look at Churchill and Roosevelt with Stalin. They detested him. They knew that but they said, we got to work with this guy. We got to speak the truth, but we can't vilify him. So I don't know. I'm just thinking, I'm a continual hopeful person, and I'm thinking every time we see a tragedy, is it a call from God to conversion and renewal? I think our young people are sensing that. That doesn't take away the sting and the sadness. You guys, when you've been kind enough to have me on the show before after a tragedy, I often comment, when you see a tragedy, so if you're watching TV, Fox News, and you see the news alert that Charlie Kirk has been assassinated, 9 times out of 10, the first words out of somebody's mouth is, oh my God. Instinctively, we think of the divine. Instinctively, we think, dear God, this isn't the way you intended it. You're crying as much as we are.
You finish listening to the rhetorics being peddled, and you begin to ask yourself, what will be said of you when you die? What will be said of you when you die? What will be said of me when I die? What really will be said of me when I die? If I die tomorrow, what will people say about me? He ran a podcast, he wrote a couple of books, he had sisters and brothers, he had a mother, he had a father, he had a stepfather, he had a stepmother, he was a philosopher, he was a theologian, he wrote poems, he tried advocating for books and publishing in Nigeria and in Africa and a couple of things. And after that, what else would people say about me? It's something not even Charlie would have believed. And the trajectory it has taken. It's unfortunate how Charlie died. It's unfortunate that he had to die under the hands of the American experiment. It's sad the way Charlie died, but it's even scarier and sadder the way his death has been turned and taken in different places that I cannot even understand. In Nigeria, he's called a modern day Martha. In America, he's called a modern day St. Paul. In Kenya, I learned there's a memorial, or there's a Christian wake-keep done on his behalf. Apostle Michael Orukpo, still an apostle, that is even still surprising me. Apostle. Okay, let's say it's a title. Apostle Michael Orukpo. On his part, he calls him what he calls him. It's fine. People get to appear to people on different sides. Yeah, but modern day St. Paul, modern day Martha, killed for his religious beliefs and killed for his religious faith. Was that what the alleged Robinson actually said happened? Killed for his religious beliefs. Okay, we see. We hope We hope it is what it is, and that is it.